Bonsoir.
Le deuxième.
La deuxième, oui. Bonsoir, Liza Minnelli. Nous avons la chance de vous avoir en Suisse en ce moment et nous avons la chance aussi d'avoir Cabaret, l'un de vos films qui date de 1972, qui est signé par Bob Fosse. Alors, Cabaret a été un film, je pense, important pour vous.
Oui.
Quel souvenir reste de ce film?
Well, it was a wonderful experience because it not only changed the history of movie musicals. It reverted back to something that was what they used to call the backstage musical, where musical numbers always made sense. In other words, like, for instance, there's only singing in the cabaret. Nobody bursts into song on the street and so forth, which is funny for me because my father was the one who changed it the other way around. And then in this day and age, I was lucky enough to be part of the film that, again, made the turn.
Et c'est Cabaret qui vous a révélé sur le plan international.
What? Is this how it started internationally for you?
I think you're a better judge of that than I am. For me, I was nominated, you know, for Sterile Cuckoo, but I suppose Cabaret is so very important because it was so very different. I'm really proud to be in it.
Liza, avant de parler encore de cinéma, je voudrais que nous parlions de musical.
Oui.
Après New York, New York, vous êtes revenu sur scène. Alors, je voudrais savoir, comme vous faites une tournée en Europe, quelle est la différence de réaction entre le public américain, vous avez fait une tournée en Amérique, vous avez joué à Broadway,
oui,
et la réaction du public en Europe, Copenhague, Dortmund, etc.
Well, I think that the main difference in the European reaction is that one is trained in America to do, like, a lot of, you have to sing and dance and act, or else it's very hard to get a job. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you want to be on Broadway, which is where I started. So I found that in Europe, everybody is really a specialist. In other words, people sing so beautifully, or they dance perfectly, or they act. But the combination people seem to like in Europe, and it's more surprising to them than it is in America. So they're more appreciative.
Ce besoin, cette nécessité d'abandonner pour quelque temps le cinéma et de revenir à la scène, est-ce que ce n'était pas pour vous un besoin de retrouver un contact avec le public et un besoin de vous rassurer vous-même?
Non, c'est pas pour moi. Okay, I'll speak in English. It's not for my own reassurance. It's just very good to always keep in contact with people who are alive. You know, you can be in front of a camera and you know what making movies is like. You make a film and it takes forever, you know. And then you go away for 6 months and they put it together and it comes out. And you're not really in touch with people. And acting is the art of translating how people feel. So you have to stay in touch with people. So I find that it's like recharging a battery. You know, to get back to the live public, it makes me understand more, and I can give more and sustain myself in a film.
Avez-vous eu peur de retrouver ce contact direct avec le public?
Oh no, I love people. You know,
Peur de retrouver la scène?
No. No, I love it. You know, it's exciting to me. It's fun.
Je voudrais savoir, et pardonnez-moi l'indiscrétion de la question, quelle est la part Judy Garland, quelle est la part Vicente Minnelli dans Liza Minnelli?
My mother gave me my guts. My father gave me my dreams. And the combination seems to work, you know. By guts, I mean, she gave me a go, do, you can do it, encouragement. Both of them always encouraged me. But she gave me feminine strength. And my father gave me a world of colors.
Liza, je ne peux pas ne pas profiter de votre présence pour vous demander des nouvelles de Vicente Minnelli, votre père, qui a eu beaucoup de problèmes avec son dernier film, La Comtessa, A Matter of Time. Comment va-t-il et que fait-il?
He's doing wonderfully. He, at this point in his life, is turning down almost everything that they offer him. And I say, Daddy, why? I mean, my God, you know. And he says, because I only want to do what I want to do. And you have to admire that from a man who gave us all so much, you know. But he'll find something, because he's so full of activity. He's full of life still. I think he's actually writing something now, and I think he won't talk about it. My father is very funny. He's very private. He won't talk about what he's doing, but I think he's writing something.
Liza, vous ne vous êtes pas contentée d'être la fille de Judy Garland et de Vicente Minnelli. Les débuts de votre carrière, je veux dire, à 16 ans, par exemple. À 16 ans, vous avez commencé à jouer à Broadway, du théâtre off-Broadway, exact?
Yes.
Est-ce que ça a été une révolution quand vous avez dit à la famille « je vais me débrouiller toute seule » ?
No. Actually, I wanted to be an ice skater. And because I always loved to dance. That was my first love, right? And then I went to a show, a Broadway show. I'd never seen a Broadway show. And I went, my mother took me, and I was 13, and I saw Bye Bye Birdie. And they were all kids up there on the stage, and they were dancing and they were singing, and it looked like so much fun. That's what I decided. That's what I wanted to do. So my original ambition was to be a chorus dancer. And then I found, like I said before, that you can't, in America, you can't get a chorus job unless you can sing and act. So I had to learn how to sing because I didn't have my mother's gift of a natural voice.
Alors, votre mère surveillait beaucoup votre carrière. Il y a un exemple, je ne sais pas s'il est vrai, mais je crois qu'il est vrai. Vous deviez jouer Carnival, et votre mère ne voulait pas que vous jouiez ce rôle, et elle avait téléphoné de partout pour vous empêcher, est-ce exact?
Yes, that's true. But at that time, my mother was lonely, and she wanted me to stay. She wanted me to come home. And it was just at the time in my life when I couldn't go home. I had to do it. And I said, Mama, I have a contract. I've signed a piece of paper. And she said, break it. And I said, I can't do that. Too many jobs depend on it. What about the other people? And then she said, you make me mad, but I admire you. It's very easy to be typecast. But I think the only interesting characters to play are characters with problems. And the difference and the scope and size of the problems of each character that I really admire, that I've played, for instance, in The Sterile Cuckoo, in Cabaret, of course, in Lucky Lady, with 3 lost people, but they were all lost in different ways. In New York, New York, with the help of Scorsese, De Niro, you know, and everything, and as you were kind enough to say to me before, I feel like I graduated into playing a mature woman. And De Niro was the crazy one, not me. He was the one who went bananas. I got to stay calm.
Mais New York, New York, c'est surtout une belle histoire d'amour.
Oui.
Mais Liza, vous ne pensez pas que vos metteurs en scène, que ce soit Stanley Donen, que ce soit Fosse, que ce soit Martin Scorsese,
Fosse?
Recherchent, ont un peu la nostalgie en faisant ces films, Lucky Lady, New York, New York, Cabaret, ont un peu la nostalgie Hollywood des années 30, et que pour eux, vous êtes un prétexte pour aller vers cette nostalgie.
My father once told me something that I always remember, that everything is a circle, and really nothing is terribly new, but it's done differently all the time. So when I happened to start making films, the first film I made was Current. Then Cabaret started a whole new fashion and going back. Nobody made a except for The Damned, I think, and some other marvelous foreign films, really. But an American film about the 30s hadn't really been done. Lucky Lady was, again, a character piece. New York, New York, nobody had done what I think is the ultimate film on the 40s and about musicians. New York, New York is a subculture film. You know? It's about music, musicians, and how they work, how they think. It's not a musical. You know?
Comment expliquez-vous que le public américain préfère, par exemple maintenant, Grease, pour donner cet exemple récent? Qu'est-ce que vous pensez de Grease, vous, par exemple?
It's a different nostalgia. You know, it's, first of all, New York, New York was advertised in America wrong. They advertised it as a musical comedy. What happened was the first 2 weeks of shooting in New York, New York, we shot the production number, which in the movie you just see a little bit of. But it was a big production number like they used to have in the films of the 40s and 50s. For instance, the American in Paris Ballet, the Girl Hunt Ballet in Bandwagon, in The Pirate, the dream sequence, in Yolanda and the Thief, you know, and we did a 12-minute number. That was the first thing we shot. Then, when we went and we did the film changed the perspective of the movie. It became much more serious than we thought. And suddenly, at the end of it, to put in this big, lavish production number, it was frivolous, and it didn't work. But the public was expecting so much that they advertised too much and too soon, and they advertised it like a big, happy Broadway, you know, musical like the 40s again and the 50s and this, that, and the other, and so forth. And it didn't turn out to be that way. So I think America got upset. They felt like they'd been duped. Do you understand?
Il y a une chose qui nous frappe aussi en Europe, au niveau de la nouvelle génération de cinéastes américains. Je veux parler de Lucas, de Spielberg, de Scorsese et de quelques autres. Alors, il y a deux solutions. Soit ils regardent vers le fantastique, Star Wars, etc., etc. Soit ils regardent vers le musical, soit... Mais on a l'impression qu'ils ne regardent plus la réalité américaine avec leur caméra. Comment expliquez-vous cela?
Well, I think in the case of Scorsese, that's not quite accurate, because Mean Streets,
Taxi Driver?
Taxi, you know, he's very down to earth. In fact, I think that it was Scorsese that elevated underground films to popular underground films. He made that transition, and he allowed, and all of these other directors that you just mentioned will tell you, they may not tell you, but I mean, they told me the same thing. He opened a door for everybody. I always feel that, and it seems to have proven itself, that every 10 years there is, every decade, there's a country that's in, you know? And especially in film. And now in this decade, it's come back to America. All of the young, there's these young guys who are just dying to express themselves. And it's kind of fun that it's back in Hollywood again, where it all started.
Au niveau du cinéma américain aussi, Liza, il y a un engagement politique au niveau de certains acteurs ou actrices. Exemple, Jane Fonda, Coming Home, film que vous connaissez. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez du militantisme des acteurs et des actrices? Est-ce que vous pensez qu'un acteur ou une actrice doit avoir un rôle finalement politique à travers les films qu'il fait?
Well, I think that it's important to know the facts. I admire the enthusiasm of people who try to help anybody. But I also think that it's wrong to use the power that the public has given you. And let's face it, it is the public. They've given you that. They've said, we like you, so you know, that's it. To use that power to influence them in something that is not your real business. And to me, I don't know, it's a...
Vous vivez, Liza, dans votre temps. Vous connaissez les problèmes de votre temps.
Yes, but I feel that what you're asking me is, do I do anything? Yes, I do things, but I don't publicize it because it's not the business I'm in.
Vous pensez qu'une actrice doit apporter au public, avant tout, le rêve, l'évasion, la joie?
Do you think an actress, first of all, should bring to the public joy and distraction and dreams?
Only.
I think it's your job, if you're good, to make people stop thinking about themselves. Whether it's joy or sadness or anything, or excitement, whatever you do, it's your job to disturb people.
Je connais, moi, l'un de vos rêves, un rêve que vous avez. Je crois que vous avez un rêve, c'est de jouer au théâtre Shakespeare.
Oui.
Par exemple, La Mégère apprivoisée.
Taming of the Shrew.
Yes. Yes, but that's not really the one that I want to do. I want to do Joan of Arc. You know. Yeah, I'd love to do Shakespeare. I love all of that thing. I like to expand. You know, for instance, I just did a new ballet with Martha Graham at the Metropolitan Opera, and it worked. I mean, it worked. It was wonderful. It worked, and Nureyev and Berezhnikov and Jerry Robbins, people I admire, said that I had made that step, that in my field, I had crossed over into their field successfully. And I was very happy about it. Anytime you can grow, that's the most exciting thing in the world.
Vous donnez une impression de fragilité. Oui. En réalité, vous êtes très forte et vous avez beaucoup de caractère.
Oui.
Est-ce que cette force, ce caractère, ne sont pas des éléments qui empêchent Liza Minnelli, femme, d'être heureuse? Vous avez compris ma question?
Oui. Happiness consists of two things to me. One is the rush of suddenly feeling happy. Two is contentment. Now, in order to feel both of those things, you have to know the other side of happiness. I've met that other side. I've dealt with it. I've lived with it. And I appreciate the happiness that I get out of my life.
Liza, est-ce que vous vous souvenez d'une date?
D'une date? Qu'est-ce que c'est d'une
date?
Yeah.
Le 8 novembre 1964.
Do you remember the 8th of November 1964?
I'm rotten on dates. No, of course not. What? Tell me, what happened? What did I do? What was it?
Le 8 novembre 1964, à Londres, au Palladium.
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Yes. Yes.
Est-ce que c'était la première fois que vous chantiez avec votre mère?
Oui. C'est extraordinaire pour moi. It was a wonderful experience. It was wonderful. The whole thing was wonderful, you know. The press have always tried to make it sound like my mother and I were, you know, like what most mothers and daughters go through, which is rivalry. Maybe I can put it a simpler way. It takes, usually, in Europe it's different, but in America with all of this women's lib and this whole thing, usually a mother and a daughter go through 3 or 4 years of, I'm gonna do what I want to do. Well, for God's sake, you know, it's that thing of a woman, when the mother suddenly realizes that the girl is a woman, and she views her as another woman. It's a lot to take for a mother. I went through 4 years and 2 hours on that stage with my mother. We got it all out of the way. It was like I went through that whole terrible period that people go through for years. In 2 hours I went through with my mother. And it ended up beautifully. And I had more fun, and she loved it, and she was... She touched me so much because she was such a mother. She was such a beautiful mama, and so caring about all of us, my sister, my brother, and I. And I'm her first child. She's always said, you know, that you're my first, you know, whatever. And whatever rivalry we ever had only demonstrated itself in our own minds on that stage. Nobody in the world saw it, but the two of us went through it. So every time that the press has ever said we were rivals, or like before you said your mother didn't want you to do carnival and this, that, and the other, it's a different thing. It's a different thing. She had magic, and she realized that she had infused that magic in me. She had said, look at that sunset. My God, look at that moon. Jesus, look what a beautiful sky that is. And I'd understood that. And she was a little surprised that I'd understood about the, you know, the vibrancy of life. And it all came out, and at the end, she ended up being terribly proud and happy.
Métier que votre mère.
Oui.
Est-ce que parfois, vous n'avez pas l'angoisse, vous n'avez pas peur du métier terrible que vous faites?
No, I have... See, I grew up with my mother constantly teaching me about her fears. She once said to me, watch me. And when I get upset, when I get depressed, when I get disillusioned, learn from it. You know, I'm the best example of what I don't want you to do. And I always respected that. And the press and various people have tried to make me sound like I am frivolous or even promiscuous. And I'm not. I was instilled with probably the highest moral values that I've ever heard of by my family, and I've stuck to them. But I learned another thing from my mother. One time, I was on the school bus. I was going to school, and I passed a newspaper stand, and I looked out the window, and it said, Judy Garland runs naked through her house trying to kill herself. And all of the children on the school bus started to laugh at me, you know. And I knew that wasn't true because I'd been with her. And I went home and I was crying because the children had been so mean. And I said, Mama, it's not true. You have to tell them. You have to tell them it's not true so that they can write it differently in the paper, so that they won't misunderstand. And she said, no. Let them build a legend. I'll live by my own morals.
Je vous remercie, Liza, et j'espère, nous espérons tous vous retrouver bientôt dans un nouveau film.
I will. Thank you so much.
Merci.
Thank you, Christian. It's more surprising to them than it is in America. So they're more appreciative.
Ce besoin, cette nécessité d'abandonner pour quelque temps le cinéma et de revenir à la scène, est-ce que ce n'était pas pour vous un besoin de retrouver un contact avec le public et un besoin de vous rassurer vous-même?
Non, c'est pas pour moi. Okay, I'll speak in English. It's not for my own reassurance. It's just very good to always keep in contact with people who are alive. You know, you can be in... So very important because it was so very different. I'm really proud to be in it.
Liza, avant de parler encore de cinéma, je voudrais que nous parlions de musical.
Oui.
Après New York, New York, vous êtes revenu sur scène. Alors, je voudrais savoir, comme vous faites une tournée en Europe, quelle est la différence de réaction entre le public américain, vous avez fait une tournée en Amérique, vous avez joué à Broadway,
oui,
et la réaction du public en Europe, Copenhague, Dortmund, etc.
Well, I think that the main difference in the European reaction is that one is trained in America to do, like, a lot of, you have to sing and dance and act, or else it's very hard to get a job. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you want to be on Broadway, which is where I started. So I found that in Europe, everybody is really a specialist. In other words, people sing so beautifully, or they dance perfectly, or they act. But the combination people seem to like in Europe, and it, where musical numbers always made sense. In other words, like, for instance, there's only singing in the cabaret. Nobody bursts into song on the street and so forth, which is funny for me because my father was the one who changed it the other way around. And then in this day and age, I was lucky enough to be part of the film that, again, made the turn.
Et c'est Cabaret qui vous a révélé sur le plan international.
Is this how it started internationally for you?
I think you're a better judge of that than I am. For me, I was nominated, you know, for Sterile Cuckoo, but I suppose Cabaret is
Bonsoir.
le deuxième.
La deuxième, oui. Bonsoir, Liza Minnelli. Nous avons la chance de vous avoir en Suisse en ce moment, et nous avons la chance aussi d'avoir Cabaret, l'un de vos films qui date de 1972, qui est signé par Bob Fosse. Alors, Cabaret a été un film, je pense, important pour vous.
Oui.
Quel souvenir reste de ce film?
Well, it was a wonderful experience because it not only changed the history of movie musicals. It reverted back to something that was what they used to call the backstage music.